Good morning, afternoon, or evening, ladies and gentlemen. Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for another daily cryptocurrency market update. I do apologize for my absence since Friday. We did a daily market update on Friday, and then we took a short break. But we are back. We are back, hopefully, with a bang. And really, where I want to start this daily market update off is with a nice, clean Bitcoin chart. Assessing what's happened. Obviously, we know we had a pretty expansive move to the downside on the 17th of August. We were expecting an expansive move as we were looking at a number of things, such as the Bollinger Bands, which were very constricted, and things like historical volatility, which we had speculated was going to lead to an expansive move. We had also, and sometimes, unfortunately, guys, it is like this, expressed our lack of clarity in regards to what direction that short-term expansive likely move would take. And it did indeed take the path of least resistance and see downside. Some calling it capitulation, momentum. And how significant is it? Was it? You know, we're going to be looking at that in this video. We're going to be sort of reiterating a lot of our stance on Bitcoin right now and crypto generally. And as an investor, I still believe that now is a golden opportunity to be investing in the crypto space. There's been a lot of frustration, I think, and unfortunately, sometimes it is like that. As a content creator, as someone that covers this space and tries to play it to the best of his ability, there is a lot of frustration with the fact that for many of our altcoins, they have essentially just gone sideways since January, where we took a step back into the markets. And of course, we've been accumulating since that. If you want to find out what I'm accumulating and where, please do consider becoming a Patreon. But essentially, I can kind of feel the frustration in regards to the fact that the market, certainly the altcoin market, hasn't really done a lot since we got back into it. Bitcoin, on the other hand, has done rather spectacularly, and the stock market has been in pretty much a full-blown bull market. We will be talking about the stock market a little bit in this video. You know, we weren't expecting a pullback for the stock market. We are getting that, and we had expressed our opinion that Bitcoin was a bit of a tired swimmer against more of a kind of macro tide, whether that be inflation popping its head up after nearly a year of consecutive downtrending prints, whether it be the yield market, which is now looking for upside, which could spur on a period of dollar strength and indicate a tighter monetary regime. There are a number of genuine causes for concern in regards to the cryptocurrency market, which we'll look at in this video, and reasons and points where you may expect further downside continuation for not just Bitcoin, but the cryptocurrency market at large. Bitcoin is still that tide that rises and sinks all ships. And at the moment, altcoins are really a beta of Bitcoin. So we do have a lot to go over as always. We're going to also be looking at this miraculous new third largest Bitcoin holder in the world that has essentially came really out of nowhere since, you know, this year and has now accumulated nearly $3 billion worth of Bitcoin and has actually continued to buy Bitcoin during this time period. I also want to talk a little bit about everything that's going on in regards to CZ and Binance. You guys know that we actually like CZ, and maybe it's to my own detriment, and I think he is one of the better actors in the crypto space. However, there are rumors at the moment that he is dumping Bitcoin to buy BNB. I have not seen one scrap of evidence for this. However, it is a very popular narrative going around Twitter, and you do have, I think it's 348 companies' earnings today, and Nvidia being a big one, which everyone's watching. And then, of course, we've got Jackson Hole on Friday. And we will talk a little bit about the headwinds that crypto, Bitcoin, generally risk is facing in regards to inflation. And the main risk is a kind of strong dollar sector, whether that be USDT dominance, pointing out by the brilliant Francis Hunt, or whether that be things like the Dixie and the yield markets. So let's get into it all, guys. Let's start things off with a nice Bitcoin chart. I do apologize for the lighting here. It is something we are working on. We do have a number of lights currently present, but we are doing a little bit of feng shui. No, I'm joking. We are on the wrong side of side of the sun here. I do have big wooden sash windows, but if I open them, I will not be seen at all because it will kind of shadow everything out. So I will work on that over the coming days. Let's get into it all, guys. quickly, I do appreciate all the lovely comments. Whenever I do take a bit of a break, people always check up on me, check in on me, and make sure everything is A-OK. Everything is absolutely A-OK, guys. Just a bit of a needed break. We went to the lovely countryside of Wales and did a little bit of sort of outdoory things, which is always good for somebody like myself that spends so much time behind the computer. So we were expecting a volatile move for Bitcoin. We were looking at things like historic volatility. We were also looking at the Bollinger Bands. And you did indeed get that expansion of volatility after a real constriction of it. And it wasn't actually that significant. This sell-off largely was caused by a significant enough sell pressure to cause a cascade of liquidations at a time where you had record low volume on exchanges, at a time of record low volatility, when there isn't much volume to stop it. A very thin order book caused a real cascade for Bitcoin to the downside. And just this year alone, we've seen plenty of, in regards to daily candles, 8, 7, 6% days to the downside, but this was a particularly significant one, coming in at, I believe it was about 14% the candle. So this was very much a symptom of the market that we're in, which is a very lackluster low interest one. However, and this is going to sound absolutely crazy to some, you know, I do maintain my bullish outlook for Bitcoin from here. So we took a position back into the cryptocurrency markets on January the 5th. It's all very public. One of the few people to call or suspect that a bottom was in for Bitcoin. You know, we looked at a number of things, whether it be the divergences, the capitulation of a major player, one of the largest exchanges that there was, if not the largest in terms of volume, USDT dominance, a number of things, and we took a position back in the crypto markets. And since then, not only were we validated on Bitcoin, but we were validated for our stocks. A lot of our stocks have actually made targets. If you look at the likes of Microsoft. And ultimately, the one market that has been rather lackluster was altcoins. Now, I missed massively. You guys know I think altcoins will outperform Bitcoin, and I'm positioned accordingly for that. But I definitely missed the Bitcoin dominance trade. Even though we were expecting Bitcoin to go up, we thought altcoins would do. Some of them very well, but most of them slightly better than they did. So I can totally appreciate the frustration. Certainly as we've been sticking our neck out on the line and being bullish this year. Obviously, we're out of the market in 2022. I can totally appreciate the frustration in regards to the fact that if we look at the altcoin market, it has essentially just gone sideways since January, which isn't the end of the world. You know, I would look at this as a potential stage one. I do believe that Bitcoin is in a stage 2 breakout. If you want to learn stage analysis, please do consider joining the Patreon. We are rolling those courses out. And I actually still maintain a bullish stance on Bitcoin and see this as a potential retest of a significant resistance that was taken. Everything I'm looking at in regards to this being a convincing breakout, you know, the kind of... I guess proof is there for me. And I do believe that Bitcoin is destined for higher prices. You know, I ultimately think that I have technical patterns that we've looked at, whether that be this inverse head and shoulders. This, of course, would be your left shoulder, your head, and your right shoulder. And you can see that here. That ultimately gives you a target of, I believe it's 41,300 and something. Or whether that be this potential bull flag that we are seeing. You know, I think there is a fundamentally different market here in regards to the trend that we are currently in, which is still an uptrend and actually hasn't been invalidated despite this recent sell-off, than the market that we were in here. You know, if you look at an uptrend and a downtrend, this is, I believe, fundamentally an uptrend until it isn't. Now, it is very, very close. And actually, your OBV does support this. It's not massively supportive. Certainly at a time when volume is waning. Remember, there is that saying out there, selling May and come back in St. Leger's Day. So September's going to be an interesting month. We've got lots of ETF approvals or non-approvals. And we've also got people in the next sort of just over a week coming back to the markets and all that volume returning. But I do still believe that Bitcoin looks good here as it stands. Now, there are some real headwinds in regards to a dollar space. You know, Bitcoin, for me, and we'll go to a 3 daily chart. This, of course, is your neckline, has not yet invalidated market structure. And what do I mean by market structure? Well, I mean higher lows and higher highs. This is still, I believe, an uptrend, and it has to invalidate this, start invalidating market structure and actually invalidating broader structures that we have in place. I think it's very close. There is definitely a possibility that Bitcoin could turn around here. However, it really needs to show that strength and show it soon. Today, I do suspect is going to be quite a volatile day with 350 something companies' earnings coming out. And you also had already this morning some pretty bad news for the Eurozone. So the dollar is a real risk, in my opinion. The dollar has broken out here and is actually going on a run. Really, for me, this is the first bad sign that the dollar's looking for more upside. This is on the back end of bad Euro news. All fiat systems are a mess. All Western countries are a complete joke. It's just that Europe is particularly more of a joke than the United States. I know people will disagree with that, maybe from a political point of view or whatever it is, but I'm talking economically and central bank-wise. You know, your next sort of area is here. You want to see the dollar fold. If the dollar persists, and if you see things like USDT dominance persist, you are going to end up in trouble. So USDT dominance still has to break to the upside. The dollar is breaking to the upside, and yields are suggesting a potentially tighter monetary regime. You know, if you look at your 10-year yields, it actually looks pretty good, and potentially like it's looking for a breakout and more upside. Now, that would steer the Fed, which would be a further downdraft for crypto. Remember, this entire pullback, i.e. bear market of 2022, was caused by the speculation on interest rate hikes. And actually, we've done a lot of studying on, and I did a meeting yesterday for my Patreons where we looked at interest rate hikes in relation to the markets. And I think that there is a lot of misconceptions with interest rate hikes on what they actually do and when they kick into effect and you know, the crash that they cause and when that comes. It's my opinion that the crash that people are expecting, that the yield curve is predicting, doesn't come until 2024, back end of potentially going into 2025. I think you have that long for the demand destructive event to take place. And I actually do believe that not only crypto, but the stock market is destined for higher prices and is going to have a pretty good time of it. I think that not only technically do we have higher targets for the S&P, we did look at the S&P having a break here. We were very spot on that. This is all the tired sort of swimmer euphemism we've used for Bitcoin in regards to the fact that Bitcoin was a tired swimmer in a strong tide being a headwind of dollar strength, a headwind of the stock market pulling back. You know, is it going to be able to swim against it? And you just, I believe, had a tipping to the downside that caused a cascade of, I think it was $1 billion in liquidations. And ultimately, this is why you had that candle. Bitcoin can fix itself, but it needs to do that soon. So as it stands right now, call me crazy, we remain bullish on Bitcoin and crypto largely. You know, we genuinely assess that there is an investment opportunity right here. This is not financial advice, just my own take, and my money is well and truly where my mouth is on this. That, you know, things are from here going to do quite well. Now, can you rule out another low? I think for Bitcoin, I don't think that's very likely. But I think for altcoins, they are currently pivoting or hovering around support. So there could be a sort of losing of that support, certainly if Bitcoin starts to lose this market structure that we have in place. That's all going to depend, in my opinion, on dollar strength. So the Bitcoin's at support. The dollar is at resistance, although it has broken through it this morning on the back end of bad Euro news. I think there's an element of waiting and seeing what happens right now. And again, dollar strength, there's going to be an element of inflation. We watched true inflation, which of course went down to, I think it was 2.2. It's now back up at 2.6. This is all going to factor into things. So there's lots of things to watch. It is, in my opinion, a very still uncertain macroeconomic environment. And crypto is the most speculative asset class that there is. So it's potentially not the easiest of tasks to try and work out exactly what this is going to do on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. But overarchingly, you know, we think that crypto is actually in quite a good place here and destined to see further upside. And we are taking that bet as an investor that is potentially here, but on the very near-term horizon, if not. So what Bitcoin does now is going to be crucial. Again, we need to see strength come in. We do have certain altcoins. I mean, one of our altcoins is up nearly massively this week. So we do have altcoins that are doing well under this, but generally we need to see crypto, stocks, the dollar all turn around. Or if they continue in the same direction, then you are going to see lows and you are going to see invalidations. You do have a bit of danger here in potentially this becoming a neckline for a right way up head and shoulders. And with this at support, with the dollar at resistance, you know, potentially looking for a bit of a pullback, you may see this play out, and this is something to watch. That would likely take you down to the 20K region, which we're already in, but coming down to these sort of regions, which would sort of come to this low, and that would largely invalidate this as a breakout. That would largely invalidate this as a stage 2 breakout, and then you'd be looking at maybe going back into a stage 1 and looking at resistance levels or support, prior support levels to be points of contact. So there is both a bullish and bearish case. From an investment point of view, we're very bullish. From a short-term point of view, it's really about what the dollar does and the dollar basket of yields and stable coins in terms of dominance, and also what Bitcoin does now. You know, it needs to show strength. You are at support, but it's support until it's not. And there are a number of things going on right now. I did find this very, very interesting. This wallet has come out of nowhere since the 5th of this month to become the 3rd largest Bitcoin holder in the world with 118,300 Bitcoin. You can see the wallet here. People are speculating that this may be BlackRock. I am not convinced, but it is very interesting that this is happening, certainly at a time where you have so much fundamental things going on. And also crypto is in, I don't believe, a bad place. I do believe that this essentially just could be a second retest of what was a breakout. You know, your volume confirmed this breakout, not in regards to overall volume, but in regards to the actual breakout periods being and having more significant volume than the previous on both the initial break and the retest. That's quite a comforting sign. So there's a lot going on in terms of earnings. Nvidia is going to be an interesting one. Does the stock market need to continue to have a bit of a rest and pull back a little bit more before it sees that continuation? I do believe that the stock market across the board generally is in stage 2 breakouts. I'm actually looking at potentially taking a Coinbase position sometime very soon. However, you know, there is, I would say, the room for a little bit more continuation to the downside, but we will see. So short term, still a little bit uncertain. Mid to long term, you know, I think crypto is going to do very, very well. Of course, you do have Binance FUD, or is it FUD? I don't know at this point. There's always something and someone attacking Binance. This individual here, Mike, has thrown a number of things at Binance, and I don't think any of them have been true as of yet. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be. But I have stated for years that CZ and Binance is a global scam. Not convinced of that. And BNB is just cheap fiat. Watch it all unravel. CZ is dumping Bitcoin again today, trying to hold the value of BNB. It's not working. BNB is bleeding out. I expect a $200 break. Potentially within 48 hours after Binance shuts withdrawals for all customers, BTC will rally. Could even see a God candle. This will be fun. Interesting. I don't know. The issue with Binance and BNB is people are worried that in regards to the customer reserves that Binance hold, you have a bit of an FTX story in the way that actually FTX, a lot of the reserves they held were in their own token. Of course, when that collapsed, the reserves collapsed, and then you end up with an insolvency issue. People are speculating that that is the same case for Binance. I am not sure. I actually happen to like CZ. I actually happen to like Binance, and I think they've been nothing short of a good actor and shown us that thus far, but that doesn't mean that that's going to continue to be the case. You do have earnings today. We have got Jackson Hole, which the Fed will really outline things moving forwards for on Friday. Let's see what happens. The main concern for me right now with Bitcoin is that it needs to do something. It needs to show some kind of strength here. I do believe the uptrend is still intact, but only just. And we're going to go with that on the short term. Support being held, resistance being reached for sort of anti-risk markets until we see reason to abort it. And with so many company earnings coming out today, it's going to be very interesting. Nvidia is going to be a massive one. Nvidia's had an insane run. I don't think they've missed an earnings for like 4 years. This will pull back at some point. What does that do for the stock market? Again, I actually do think that you are going to not have a crash in the near future. You're going to have one after a big run. And actually AI is going to play a big narrative in that. You know, we certainly have higher upside for the likes of the S&P, the NASDAQ. Google, I think, is going to do very well there now, stepping into the AI game. We had, of course, called Microsoft very beautifully. Perhaps we should have been a stock trader and not a crypto one. That's really all I've got for you guys. So a lot of things to watch. Dollar-based markets are the biggest threat. Inflation is something to watch. Fed's guidance is something to watch. And of course, structure failing for Bitcoin, i.e. the uptrend, i.e. the inverse head and shoulders, because then you have to say, okay, well, what are the reasons to be bullish now and what are the reasons to be bearish? And right now, for me, technically, for Bitcoin alone on its own merit, there's more reasons to be bullish than there are bearish. But that is for now. That can change. And it's something we'll be watching and keeping you up to date on. On that note, I'm going to love and leave you. If you've enjoyed the content, like is appreciated. So is a comment. It feels great to be back. And I will see you all in the next one. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Catch you in the next YouTube video.